This is In the Loop. I'm Christian Bryant. Today is President's Day, or if you're in the news business, it's just another Monday. Here's what we got for y'all. Tonight, how the left learned to like Joe Biden, or at least work with him. We talked to progressives pleasantly surprised by the Biden White House's early days. Plus, streaming platforms are posting record high viewership and cranking out original content, all thanks to tech-savvy cord cutters like you. But first, here's what you need to know right now. Over the last month, we've seen a much-needed decline in COVID cases and hospitalizations across the US. It comes after the pandemic's deadliest month on record. New data from the CDC shows more than 14 million people in the US are now fully vaccinated. The average number of daily vaccinations has been steadily increasing since mid-December. Dr. Fauci has said everyone who wants a vaccine should be able to get one by the end of summer. But for now, at least, some areas are still seeing a supply shortage. Moderna, which currently supplies roughly half the US vaccine doses, got the okay from the Food and Drug Administration to put up to 14 doses in each vial, up from just 10. According to the New York Times, accommodating the production lines for that increase will take several weeks. There are also growing concerns about the COVID strain first spotted in the United Kingdom, now spreading through the US. The CDC believes it has the potential to become the dominant strain in the country by March, which could potentially undo some of the progress we've seen in declining case numbers. Public health experts say the progress is great news, but that now's not the time to ease restrictions or your own personal safety habits. Turns out, we didn't need a groundhog to tell us winter is very much still here. Forecasters are calling it an unexpected storm impacting more than half the country. Several cities reported new record lows Monday. Yes, that's a negative 38 degrees in Minnesota. On top of the bitter cold, the winter storm knocked out power for millions and canceled thousands of flights. The nation's roads have been downright treacherous due to icy, slick conditions. Houston reported more than 120 crashes Sunday. Part of I-10 in Louisiana actually shut down on Monday because of the icy conditions. Meanwhile, Oklahoma activated the National Guard as it prepares for more snow and the lowest temperatures it's seen in the last century. And the entire state of Texas is now covered under an emergency declaration that will send federal resources to aid state and local efforts as the state sees record low temperatures and rolling blackouts. Several state senators called for New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to be stripped of his emergency powers related to the pandemic. This comes as he faces an investigation for underreporting the number of COVID deaths at long-term care facilities in the state. According to the state's Department of Health, 15,000 people died in nursing homes and other care facilities. A report last month accused Cuomo of undercounting the deaths by roughly 50% by only reporting those who died at the facilities rather than in a hospital, for instance. Cuomo also faces criticism for an advisory last March, which required nursing homes to readmit patients with COVID-19. Critics say the move might have further fueled outbreaks. According to the Associated Press, more than 9,000 COVID patients in New York who were still in recovery were transferred from hospitals to nursing homes.
The AP numbers do raise anew questions as to how the wisdom of that policy that was reversed just 7 weeks later, and really what kind of an impact did it have in making a very bad situation and a lot of death a lot worse.
Democrats both in the state Senate and Assembly met Friday to discuss whether to limit Cuomo's powers, but details from that meeting have not been released. Some Republican senators are now demanding new federal investigations.
Cuomo administration purposely lied and withheld evidence and information to avoid prosecution. Andrew Cuomo must be prosecuted, and Andrew Cuomo must be impeached if this evidence exists.
Let's be real, Joe Biden has never been a favorite for progressive Democrats. I mean, he may be more left-leaning than some Americans would like, but he was basically the last choice for millions of progressives in the primary. And that's what makes today's relationship between the Biden White House and progressive America so surprising. These different wings of the Democratic Party are actually getting along pretty well. Newsy's Shira Tarlow has the story.
President Joe Biden has been in the White House less than a month, and so far he's managed to curry favor with the party's left wing, staving off an intra-party battle that previously seemed all but certain.
They've been really great at outreach. You can tell Joe Biden's not a rookie. He's done this before.
What I have been excited about is that there's been real meaningful conversations.
Progressives, many of whom backed Senators Bernie Sanders of Vermont or Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts in the Democratic primary, are encouraged by the president's decision to tap many of his former rivals' staff for administrative posts. And top aides have made progressive outreach a priority.
Ron Klain versus, say, Rahm Emanuel for progressives, it sends a message that is, welcoming, that we have a seat at the table.
The hiring decisions are the result of over 2 years of organizing by progressive groups, which culminated in a 90-page report filled with personnel recommendations and submitted to the Biden transition team before the inauguration.
If you have the right people in the right spots, that certainly helps to have progressive initiatives move forward. And there's been a good number of those appointments that we've been very satisfied with.
The current peace between the party's old guard and new left is perhaps unexpected. On the campaign trail, Biden was regularly attacked by progressives as they sought to portray him as out of step with today's Democratic Party.
Nominating fellow Washington insider will not meet this moment.
He's received contributions from 44 billionaires.
But even though he ran explicitly against the party's left wing,
I beat the socialists. That's how I got elected. That's how I got the nomination. Do I look like a socialist? Look at my career, my whole career.
On the sidelines, he courted progressives with proposals to lower the age of Medicare eligibility from 65 to 60, cancel student debt, and the establishment of the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force.
What came out of that task force was really fruitful. Biden hasn't come out in favor of the Green New Deal, but a lot of his policies are very Green New Deal oriented.
The president's sharp focus on the pandemic and reversing his predecessor's policies has helped him bring factions of the Democratic Party under one tent.
It's representative of an administration that's listening to the people through the election in November, and then working with those of us who've been some of the strongest advocates in Congress for those issues.
The White House did not respond to Newsy's request for comment, and how long the goodwill between these wings of the party will last is unclear. But progressives say they have never been as well positioned to exert their political influence.
Now you have a much more well-organized and robust progressive movement that organized really hard and fought really hard for Biden to be elected. The left is committed to staying engaged, to making sure that Biden is held accountable to the campaign promises that he made.
What we're continuing to do is holding this administration's feet to the fire.
Shira Tarlow, Newsy, Washington.
Everything is bigger in Texas, but I did not know that included winter storms. Hell hasn't frozen over, but Texas has, which is a little concerning. Here's what's trending. It was colder in Houston than it was in New York City today, as temperatures dipped well below freezing, hitting parts of one of our warmest states with ice and snow. And if that wasn't bad enough, more than 2.5 million Texans woke up without power Monday. Entergy, which provides power to 27 counties, said it was beginning rolling power outages to prevent a more extensive and prolonged outage. Other power companies also urged Texans to conserve energy. Texans are going through it right now, but luckily Good Samaritans on social are here to help.
Someone please help Texans.
Canadian here. Water actually freezes in winter, so you want to keep it off of the windshield. Don't know what you're trying to do there.
Boycott Publix is trending because of the connection between the supermarket founder's daughter and the pro-Trump rally preceding the January 6th insurrection. Julie Jenkins Fancelli, a prominent Trump campaign donor, reportedly gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to help organize the DC rally where Trump spoke. Afterward, a mob of his supporters fought their way past police and broke into the US Capitol, forcing lawmakers to temporarily stop the process of certifying the 2020 election results and hide. 5 people died, including a Capitol police officer. Now, just because Boycott Publix is trending doesn't mean the company's in trouble, but they have previously attempted to distance themselves from Fancelli by saying she's not an employee and she doesn't represent the company in any way. Netflix dropped a trailer Monday for a new documentary telling the origin story and rap ascendance of the Notorious B.I.G.
That's all it was a dream.
Biggie, I Got a Story to Tell reflects on the life and career of the Brooklyn rapper, whose real name was Christopher Wallace. This documentary is a big deal because it's the first to be authorized by Biggie's estate. It features commentary from those close to the rapper and was executive produced by his mom, Valletta Wallace, and his good friend and entertainer, Sean Diddy Combs. Wallace was shot and killed in Los Angeles back in 1997 at the age of 24. His 2 studio albums from before his death have gone platinum multiple times, and just last year, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Streaming platforms have seen a ton of growth thanks to original exclusive content and probably people like me just watching that stuff nonstop. Newsy's Casey Mendoza breaks down how streaming platforms are expected to continue growing in 2021.
Disney just revealed it now has more than 146 million paid subscriptions across Disney+, ESPN+, and Hulu, making it second only to Netflix in the streaming industry.
We've charted a course for an even more deliberate and aggressive DTC push for Disney+, ESPN+, Hulu, and Star.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
Helping to grow the platform are original exclusive series like WandaVision. According to experts at Parrot Analytics, the Marvel mystery series about a grieving superhero became one of the most in-demand streaming titles this past month.
It's original and exclusive content. I really think that's going to continue to be the driver.
As Disney Plus grows, so do its competitors. The streaming aggregation site RealGood says that of its 2 million US users, the average person subscribes to 5 platforms.
This can be fun.
And more competitors are entering the arena. Discovery Plus launched at the beginning of the year with exclusive access to brands like HGTV, the Food Network, and TLC, while Paramount Plus, a rebrand of CBS All Access, plans to launch in March. A major hurdle for both new platforms is finding ways to stand out in a crowded industry.
You mentioned Discovery Plus. I think they've done a particularly good job so far turning themselves into a top-of-mind streaming services for people who want to have fun, sort of comfort TV.
Some experts say that even as more businesses and schools reopen, the pandemic's effect on streaming could continue in the long term.
Consumer habits have sort of been formed, right? And those are going to be hard to break. There may be a drop, but I don't believe it's going to be unsustainable for the industry.
Casey Mendoza, Newsy, Chicago.
The pink collar recession, a she-session, a second pandemic, whatever you want to call it, employers are looking for ways to stop the flood of women being forced out of work. More than 2 million women have left the workforce during this pandemic. Many of them have been forced to leave because of school and daycare closures. In order to get our economy back, we also need to get women back to work. National reporter Stephanie Stone tells us this issue has employers searching for ways to accomplish that.
Employers need to understand there is a second pandemic going on.
It's been called so many things: a second pandemic, a she-session, a pink-collar recession. Lorna Borenstein, CEO of Gras, says whatever you call it, it has to change.
As much as we'd like to pretend we're all in 50-50, if we're hetero, we're in 50-50 relationships, we're not.
Women can't keep up and they're quitting. At Gras, Borenstein helps employers help employees. Right now, that help involves getting women back into the workforce.
If you remember nothing else from this at all, it's 3 words: psychologically safe environment. It is okay to parent out loud. It is okay to talk about this.
She's advising her clients who are big companies to do things like make it a healthy environment, shift schedules around, be accommodating.
Can you help them find childcare? Can you provide a stipend for house cleaning? Can you help them think about elder care if there are parents in the home?
The recovery starts with caring about your employees, and if you don't, you won't succeed, says Dr. Nadja. She's an expert of thriving in chaos.
I'm the founder of Reinvention Academy, which is the method. Reinvention is the antidote to crisis.
After all, she knows a little something about disaster. Getting yourself out of the worst of times was a lesson she learned as a child.
I was born in the Soviet Union. My whole family lived through one genocide, the revolution after another. And when I was growing up, the Soviet Union collapsed and my work started because there was no food, there was no opportunity. So you had to stand in line and wait for food and figure out how you're gonna pay for it.
She would go on to get her doctorate and study just how companies collapse and succeed in a crisis.
Unless you use this recession to reinvent your business and do it again and again, and engaging women is crucial in that task, you will not be able to stay afloat.
The crisis, she tells the companies she works with, is not having enough women at work.
This crisis, specifically the pink recession, is a wonderful and horrific, but wonderfully important opportunity to reinvent ourselves, to really use the crisis to shed off some of the things that no longer serve us.
Gras says no one wants to thank the pandemic, but it has us all reeling to change in order to survive.
CEOs, CFOs, CHROs, boards of directors. The rallying cry is, you need to care for your people, and it is so easy to do. So just please understand that your women are going to leave in droves if you do not act swiftly and quickly, and it doesn't need to be even a discussion.
Some companies are even forming support groups, which is just one more example of how to make a workplace work for all. I'm Stephanie Stone, reporting.
If you haven't done so already, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter using the hashtag #NewsyInTheLoop. It's a federal holiday, so I know y'all got the time. Mardi Gras parades ain't canceled often. Hurricane Katrina didn't even stop the festivities when they rolled around in 2006. In fact, it's only been nixed once in the last 60 years, and that was because of a police union strike. The parade ain't happening this year for obvious reasons, but national reporter Maya Rodriguez tells us about how thousands of people across New Orleans and around the country found a way to come together for a new Mardi Gras tradition.
These days, the streets of New Orleans are alive, with homes transformed.
I'll decorate my house
into Mardi Gras floats.
So I'll go start a Facebook group.
And with that, an idea born out of coronavirus restrictions went, well, viral.
I am the fool who opened my mouth on the internet.
Megan Boudreau, nicknamed Admiral B, commands the fleet of more than 3,000 decorated homes, part of the new Mardi Gras crew of house floats. With parades canceled in New Orleans, instead of floats going by spectators, people can go by these homes turned floats instead.
So overwhelming, I can't even keep track because there's a new favorite one every day.
Like the Little Shop of 2020 Horrors, a literal dumpster fire, complete with a murder hornet and toilet paper shortage.
We've been to the grind.
Renee and Inez Pierre, owners of
Crescent City Artists Did My Float,
thought their days of creating parade floats were over.
And we were like, okay, we're done.
But then the crew of house floats rolled into their lives.
The phone, bing, then the website is bing, 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 bing.
Yep, I had to hire a staff. I went from just me in a backyard to hiring 6 people.
65 house floats later, they're thrilled their business didn't just survive, it thrived. They're even booked to create house floats next year.
This was definitely the turnaround we needed.
Everybody was looking for a little joy.
In uptown New Orleans, Serena Tang wanted to dedicate her home to local celebrity and bounce music recording artist Big Frida.
And I reached out to one of the local Mardi Gras artists and I was like, do you think you could make me a big Frida? And then I just blinged her out, bedazzled her, and put some eyelashes on her and a crown, because every queen needs her crown.
Now, the queen of Bounce House is welcoming visitors from all over, including Eric Morgan, who drove in from Atlanta just to see it.
Oh my God, you already know. I love her. Yeah, this is one. I had to come see this. This is the #1 house to come see.
It's been wonderful. People drive by, they're waving, they're smiling, they're honking.
And just like in carnival season, where you can see float parades during both the day and the night, The crew of housefloats is doing the same thing. A magical experience even after the sun sets.
We got hit so hard with COVID and people just needed some joy.
Finding light in the darkest of times with a new Mardi Gras tradition. In New Orleans, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
That's it for us, gang. As always, thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow for more In the Loop. Same time, same place. Top stories from Newsy are headed your way right now.